Weekday before Rams versus Cardinals, and we already got really big news. Let's dive into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. All right, everybody, let's go and dive right into it. We got a lot of news coming our way pertaining to just obviously Cardinals news. It's 2 days away from Cardinals versus Rams, our first divisional matchup of the 2024 season, and this is a very, very big game. We got two teams with the back against the walls, and nobody wants to start off at 0-2. So a real good game, a real promising game for the Cardinals to potentially win, especially because the Rams are dealing with so much injuries. If you guys do not know, their left guard, Steve Avila, has actually been placed on IR, and there's still a lot of question marks on the right-hand side of that offensive line. That's going to be Kevin Dotson as well as Rob Havenstein. Now, we might not know exactly if they're going to be playing until maybe Saturday or maybe late Friday, so we'll have to kind of wait and see how that shakes out, but there's just a lot of injuries amongst that offensive line for Matthew Stafford to potentially stay upright. Now, let's move on over to the Arizona Cardinals. There's been two players that, has been lingering around the injury report for the Cardinals, one of them being Max Melton. We did hear Jonathan Gannon come out and say that he is currently still on, or he's working his way, in the concussion protocol. Now, we did have actually a clip here that we saw Max Melton, or at least, this video is actually courtesy from Tyler Drake of Arizona Sports. He ends up having a video here on X/Twitter about Max Melton being, in practice, and he no longer has that yellow shirt on, which is an indication of, him not being full participant, right? So this is definitely a step in the right direction. If Max Melton does play for the 2024 Arizona Cardinals in, week 2, I think that would be an absolute huge win for the Cardinals, because we can definitely very well use all the help we can versus the explosive Rams offense. Now, if the Cardinals defensive line gets pressure on their team, then I think, sky's the limit. But as of right now, having Max Melton, I think it's going to be a really good step up in the right direction. As of right now, we don't know. Really refreshing that we're seeing him in practice. Now, another play I want to talk about is going to be Xavier Weaver, ladies and gentlemen. I've been longing and excited for him to potentially be healthy, and it seems like this might be the week that he's fully healthy. Last week, he ended up having an oblique injury, and he was held out throughout the entirety of that week 1. He was already ruled as out. So week 2, I'm so curious to figure out what the Arizona Cardinals are going to do with that wide receiving core. We know that was one of the biggest talking points for the media as well as fans, saying things like, why weren't these wide receivers involved in the game plan versus the Buffalo Bills? So I think we're really excited to see what Xavier Weaver can do. Honestly, I am really excited to see what Xavier Weaver can do. He was an undrafted rookie in the 2024 NFL draft for the Cardinals, and I think there's a lot of hope and a lot of praise about how he can potentially affect this offense for the Cardinals, and I could only hope that we will see him a lot. I'm not sure exactly what the snap counts are going to look like. I think obviously right now the wide receiver 1 is Marvin, number 2 is going to be Michael Wilson, and then Greg Dortch being that number 3 in the slot. But if we can see some plays here and there with potentially Xavier Weaver out there, I think that would be absolutely amazing, because I've been longing to see what his debut is going to look like. Super excited to see what he does. Now, the media ended up asking about Kyler Murray because he ended up showing up on the injury report. I believe it was on Wednesday with a knee injury. There seems like there's no issues with Kyler Murray. He seems like he's a full go, so don't worry about it. He's good to go. And then there was a question about Julian Okwara, which is going to be the newest pass rusher for the Cardinals. We ended up putting him on the practice squad for the Cardinals, and he ended up getting elevated earlier this week. It ended up asking him what he likes about Julian Okwara, about the little time that we've seen from him, and this is exactly what Jonathan Gannon said.
A role for him, or is it just what have you seen in the little time that you've had?
Yeah, he sets violent edges. Is extremely intelligent, and he can rush. So we'll see as we move forward here.
He sets violent edges, he's extremely intelligent, and he could rush. So we will see as we move forward here. So I think there's no brainer here that there's a lot of question marks amongst the edge position for the Cardinals, especially in week 1 that we weren't able to wrap up Josh Allen. But the quarterback that we're playing in week 2 is an absolutely different type of quarterback. I think we are going to be able to, hopefully, fingers crossed, wrap him up if we do cause pressure, because I think there was some pressure. I'm not going to come out here and say the Cardinals had extreme pressure, because we didn't. But the thing is that when you are able to get back there, you need to make sure you wrap up those quarterbacks back there. And being that Matthew Stafford is not a mobile quarterback, we could potentially wrap him up here, fingers crossed. So those are the big updates for the Cardinals heading into week 2 versus the Rams. Now, one other thing I want to highlight here is I ended up seeing a post here on X from Downtown Rams, which is a page that's being run by Jake Ellenbogen, which is one of my guys. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so very much. He ended up posting this here, and he said this: the Rams are 13-2 in the last 15 matchups against the Cardinals. They have not lost in Arizona since 2024. So there's a lot of Rams fans out there. Obviously, this is a huge stat. The Cardinals need to break some sort of streak to end up to win this game. And I think if the Cardinals win this game versus the Rams, the momentum is going to be absolutely huge for the 2024 Arizona Cardinals. But one of the biggest, obviously, obstacles that we have is that we need to beat the Rams at home. We need to beat anybody at home. We have not had a very good record under the last year of Cliff Kingsbury and the first year of Jonathan Gannon. So let's change that narrative right now. I do not like the fact that the Rams have had our number for years and years and years. Let's change that up and let's see what the Arizona Cardinals can do, especially with all their injuries they have going on their offensive line. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day and go Cardinals.